704. Chapter 704. Truly standing at the top, making choices. Lin Moyu sat alone outside the ancient city, thinking for a long time. He pondered everything that had happened, all the information he had seen and heard. He summarized and analyzed it all. If what the demon emperor Lilian said was true, she had been balancing the three forces all these years. After cooperating with the human race to drive out the dragon race, she actually had the power to destroy the human race at that time. Even with Antares' presence, preventing the complete extermination of the human race, she could have at least occupied most of the human world, keeping the human race in captivity and preventing their development. Antares had said that it was only responsible for ensuring the human race didn't go extinct, not for anything else. But the demon emperor Lilian didn't do that. Instead, she killed several high-level demon kings and even created the illusion that there were still strong humans. This made the originally reckless demon kings cautious, ultimately leading to a relative balance between the abyssal demons and the human race. The human race developed over the past 1,000 years and, although still weaker than the abyssal demons, was not much weaker. Over 600 years ago, she discovered Jiang Yi, who came from beyond the heavens, and designed a trap to kill him, because she feared Jiang Yi would reach the supergod level and ultimately break the balance. Balance. She had always pursued balance all these years. In this sense, the one who truly spared the human race and allowed them to survive and develop in this era was actually her. It was indeed somewhat laughable and incredible. But the fact was just that. Lin Moyu had confirmed all this through Antares. The human race's most hated enemy was actually the one who gave them the space to survive.
It's truly ironic.
Lin Moyu knew he couldn't reveal this. No one would believe it if he did. He realized that his perspective had changed, and so had the way he saw things and thought about problems. He used to think that the Demon Worship Society was a major scourge within the human race, and if not eradicated, it would cause great trouble for the human race. Now, it seemed the Demon Worship Society was nothing, unable to affect the balance between the two sides, let alone threaten the foundation of the human race. The Demon Worship Society was like a stinking bug, dirty and smelly, but nothing more. In the eyes of the Demon Emperor Lilian, it was even more so, a toy that could be discarded at any time. To show her sincerity, she discarded the Demon Worship Society before the cooperation even began. Standing at a different height, Lin Moyu found his heart had hardened. He had to make a choice. To fight the demons to the end for the past hatred of the human race, or to cooperate with the demons for the future peace of the human race. This decision had to be made, and it had to be made by a few people. There was no need to tell too many people. It was useless. After thinking for a long time, Lin Moyu left the ancient battlefield and returned to the human world, to the White God courtyard. Days had passed, and the human world had calmed down, returning to its former state. The peaceful atmosphere accumulated over hundreds of years returned after a period of tension. Meng Anwen and Bai Yuan, after being busy for a few days, were now free. At this moment, they, along with Yan Guangxing, were drinking tea in the courtyard. As for the suicide incident half a day ago, it didn't involve many people from the Xinxia Empire. Nearly 10,000 people committed suicide, mainly from other forces and countries. After all, the last major purge had already cleared out a large number of Demon Worship Society members. As soon as Lin Moyu returned, Meng Anwen spoke.
Xiaoyu, the investigation is complete. The people who committed suicide half a day ago were indeed members of the Demon Worship Society. They were deeply hidden and were missed during the last major purge.
Bai Yuan also said in a low voice,
I didn't expect the Demon Worship Society to be so deeply hidden. These people were dormant, and we couldn't detect them.
Yan Guangxing laughed, teasing Bai Yuan.
Just admit you missed them, no need to call them dormant.
Bai Yuan snorted twice, glaring at Yan Guangxing. But this time, surprisingly, he held back and didn't retort. Meng Anwen said,
Xiaoyu, you seem to be in a hurry. Is there something else?
Lin Moyu sat down, poured tea for the three of them, and for himself.
I discussed some things with Lilian.
The three were stunned. Who was Lillian? They had never heard of this name. This name didn't seem to appear in the human race's historical records. Lin Moyu realized this and casually said,
Lillian is the Demon Emperor.
The three were greatly shocked, and Bai Yuan even spat out the tea in his mouth, spraying it all over Yen Guangxing's face. He was stunned.
You went to see the Demon Emperor?
Lin Moyu nodded.
Yes, I even went to the Demon Emperor Palace.
Went to the Demon Emperor Palace. Lin Moyu's casual words sent chills down the three spines. Going to the abyss was already scary enough, but going to the Demon Emperor Palace. And he went and came back safely. The three looked at each other, finally realizing that their disciple seemed to have reached a height they couldn't imagine. The only one in the human race who could speak on equal terms with Antares was Lin Moyu. The only one in human history who could go to the Demon Emperor Palace and return safely was also Lin Moyu. Meng Anwen took a deep breath to calm himself.
What did you discuss with the Demon Emperor?
Lin Moyu slowly said,
The Demon Emperor wants to cooperate with me.
Lin Moyu explained the Demon Emperor's proposal for cooperation. However, Lin Moyu didn't share his own thoughts on the matter, fearing that his thoughts might influence Meng Anwen and the others' judgment. As he spoke, Meng Anwen and the others' expressions changed dramatically. It was as if they were listening to a fantastical story, unable to imagine such a significant error in human history. Lin Moyu knew that even without external interference, history would inevitably have errors. Moreover, behind the entire human race, there was such a hidden figure. After a long time, Meng Anwen finally exhaled.
When I studied human history, I did feel something was off. 1,000 years ago, the human race was not strong, the weakest among the three races. Especially after driving out the dragon race, the human race had to face the abyssal demons alone, with no chance of winning. At that time, the abyssal demons had the opportunity to destroy us, but they didn't. Historical records also mention the mysterious deaths of several demon kings, suspected to be caused by hidden human experts. I didn't expect it to be the Demon Emperor.
Lin Moyu's words completely overturned the three's understanding of human history. With Antares' presence, they knew that what Lin Moyu said must be true. Antares had been here for an unknown amount of time, witnessing all the ups and downs of the human race in this era. History might be wrong, but Antares wouldn't be. Bai Yuan said,
So, the Demon Emperor actually did us a favor?
Lin Moyu nodded.
Although she had her own motives, she indeed did us a favor.
Meng Anwen said,
According to her, the abyssal demon's instinct is to bring destruction, and she can't openly stop the other abyssal demons. To maintain balance, she had to choose this method. The fact is, it gave the human race time to breathe and develop, and her hands are not stained with human blood. This cooperation, I think, is feasible.
705. Chapter 705. One should not bite the hand that feeds. Lin Moyu had actually already made a decision, and he could even make decisions on behalf of the entire human race. However, he still handed the decision-making power to Meng Anwen and the other two. After all, they were currently the highest-ranking and most prestigious individuals among the human race. He believed they would make the right choice. Sure enough, Meng Anwen quickly made a decision. He chose to cooperate with the Demon Emperor. Bai Yuan raised an eyebrow and looked at Meng Anwen.
You mean to let go of past grudges?
Among the three, Bai Yuan had fought the hardest against the abyssal demons and harbored the deepest hatred. Bai Yuan's mind wasn't as sharp as Meng Anwen's, and his analysis of matters wasn't as calm and rational. For a moment, he couldn't accept it. Meng Anwen looked at Bai Yuan.
What have we been fighting for?
Bai Yuan snorted.
Isn't it to carve out a place for the human race and to fight so that the demons don't dare to mess with us?
Meng Anwen said,
If Xiaoyu's cooperation with the Demon Emperor can be successfully implemented, then in the future, there will be no more abyssal demons, no more dragon race. There will be no more wars, no more sacrifices. Isn't that a good thing?
Bai Yuan's body trembled with excitement.
What about the Demon Emperor?
Before Meng Anwen could speak, Yan Guangxing had already said,
You blockhead, can't you understand? If the abyssal demons are gone, where will the demon emperor be?
Meng Anwen said softly,
Historically, the demon emperor has actually done a lot for our human race. Although she had her own motives, she did what she did, and we must acknowledge that.
Lin Moyu nodded.
Indeed, without the demon emperor, our human race would be in a different situation.
Bai Yuan still couldn't fully accept it, but he didn't say anything more. Meng Anwen glanced at him and said to Lin Moyu,
Don't mind him, he'll come around. His mind just works a bit slower and needs time.
Lin Moyu couldn't help but laugh. It seemed to be true. When he first met Bai Yuan, he felt that Bai Yuan was profound and unfathomable. Later, he realized he had been fooled. Meng Anwen murmured,
But I still don't understand why the demon emperor chose to stand on our side to maintain balance when there are many ways to do so.
Lin Moyu said softly,
Because she has half human blood.
Upon hearing this, Meng Anwen's expression froze completely. Bai Yuan even jumped up, and the solid stool under him shattered into powder with a bang. Yan Guangxing also looked incredulous.
That's impossible.
After a brief shock, Meng Anwen suddenly realized something and urgently asked,
Xiao Yu, the human blood you mentioned, it's not from our world, is it?
Lin Moyu nodded.
No, it's not.
Bai Yuan and Yan Guangxing looked at Lin Moyu and then at Meng Anwen, as if they had heard something unbelievable. Yan Guangxing asked,
Old Meng, do you know something?
Meng Anwen said softly,
Don't rush, I'll explain it to you later.
Lin Moyu had only shared information about the world with Meng Anwen. Meng Anwen had strong energy and flexible thinking, understanding everything with just a word. Bai Yuan and Yan Guangxing needed some time to accept it. Meng Anwen ignored their confusion and said,
This explains it. If the plan succeeds, did she say what she plans to do?
Lin Moyu said,
Lillian didn't say, but I think she will hide and wait for an opportunity to leave this world. In the fragment world, her limit is half-step super god, unable to advance further. Her soul imprint is in the fragment world. Leaving now is useless. She will still be found.
Meng Anwen understood Lin Moyu's words. Although he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, he could roughly guess. Meng Anwen suddenly thought of something.
Soul imprint. I remember something. The method of imprinting souls appeared in the human race 1,000 years ago. It was because of this method that our human race avoided many losses. Could it be that this method was also given by her?
Lin Moyu nodded.
Yes, it was given by her.
Meng Anwen said solemnly,
There's no need to discuss this further. Let's proceed according to her plan.
Meng Anwen's words were final. Lin Moyu had already guessed this outcome.
I understand. Let's keep this matter between us and not tell anyone else. Of course, they don't need to know.
Meng Anwen also understood that the more people knew, the more troublesome it would be. Too many opinions would complicate matters. As the strongest among the human race, they had to lead the human race towards the brightest future. Some sacrifices were inevitable. Letting go of hatred was also necessary. Just like the cooperation with the abyssal demons 1,000 years ago, both sides had done it. After Lin Moyu left, Bai Yuan and Yan Guangxing stared intently at Meng Anwen. They still had many questions. Meng Anwen sighed.
I didn't tell you because I was afraid you couldn't accept it. If you want to know, be prepared.
Bai Yuan said disdainfully.
If you can accept it, why can't I?
Yan Guangxing said.
Go ahead, we've lived half our lives. What can't we handle?
Meng Anwen nodded.
What do you think the highest level should be?
Bai Yuan said without hesitation.
Of course, it's the super god level. The human race lacks a super god. If we had one, we could definitely suppress the abyssal demons and the dragon race.
Meng Anwen chuckled.
Then what do you think the Lord's level is?
Yan Guangxing knew Meng Anwen was referring to Antares.
It should also be super god, maybe a very powerful one among the super gods.
Meng Anwen shook his head.
In the Lord's eyes, supergods are like ants, easily wiped out. Impossible. That can't be.
Meng Anwen laughed softly.
Sit tight, I'll explain slowly.
Lin Moyu returned to the ancient city of Xinxia. His cooperation with the Demon Emperor was already confirmed. Now he just needed to improve his realm. This was the prerequisite for cooperation. If he couldn't become a super god and the master of the world, the Demon Emperor's so-called cooperation would be a joke. Lin Moyu had also thought that if he reached the super god level, he could kill all the dragons and abyssal demons without cooperating with the Demon Emperor. He could even kill the Dragon Emperor and Lillian without any problem. But knowing what Lillian had done for the human race, he gave up that idea. One should not bite the hand that feeds. Regardless of her motives, Lillian had indeed done a lot for the human race. This must be acknowledged. Moreover, Lillian had never killed a human. On the contrary, because of her, many humans had been saved. So Lin Moyu couldn't kill Lillian. He couldn't repay kindness with ingratitude. As he pondered, he left the ancient city of Xinxia. The wings of the undead spread, crossing continents, traversing the wind and thunder sea, heading to the wind and thunder continent. Before long, the undead army reappeared on the wind and thunder continent, starting a massacre of the thunder tree and wind flower groups. This was the fastest way Lin Moyu could find to level up. Under the slaughter of the undead army, Lin Moyu's experience soared like a rocket. For thousands of years, Lin Moyu was the only one who could use the thunder tree and wind flower groups to level up. 706. Chapter 706. The strongest path is also the hardest path. The wind and thunder continent is also the graveyard of gods. Lin Moyu was deeply moved by the resolute spirit of the thunder god, whose heart was filled with despair and helplessness. This feeling intensified when Lin Moyu learned about the past of the gods. Although they were gods and not humans, they were the earliest allies of the human race and the pioneers of this era. They faced crises and fought alongside humans. Some fell and some went into deep slumber. Among the humans, some ancestors transformed their bloodlines and became gods. Most of the gods from that era became the best allies of the human race. They, like humans, were born in this era, bore its mark, and had a sense of belonging to it. Lin Moyu felt the same way. He had no strong feelings for the previous era, even though they were of the same race. But for the humans of this era, Lin Moyu had different feelings. This was the mark of the era, the imprint of an entire era. Lin Moyu only realized this after his soul became divine. The thunder god was dead, and the wind god should also be in a deep slumber on the wind and thunder continent. Lin Moyu didn't know where exactly, and he didn't intend to find it. He couldn't revive it now, and finding it would be useless and harmful. It was better to let it continue to sleep until he had the ability to revive them. Returning to the wind and thunder continent, Lin Moyu continued to target the thunder tree and wind flower groups. However, he didn't provoke the thunder tree group in the Thunder Mountain range, even though it had the most thunder trees. A terrifying being was also in a deep slumber under the mountain range. It was once the thunder god's mount, injured and put to sleep by Antares. There seemed to be some connection between them. For whatever reason, Lin Moyu didn't want to trouble it. He only targeted the outer thunder tree groups and the wind flower groups he encountered. Although the efficiency was lower, it was enough for leveling up. The entire wind and thunder continent spanned thousands of kilometers, with countless thunder trees and wind flowers. For thousands of years, few had come to challenge them, allowing their numbers to grow. Now, they all benefited Lin Moyu becoming his resources. His experience soared again, and according to his estimate, it wouldn't take a day to level up from 79 to 80. Reaching level 80 would be a qualitative leap, gaining new skills, which are the most powerful skills for most professions. Level 90 is the domain of gods, with no new skills. Level 80 is the last chance for professionals to awaken new skills. Almost all professionals will give their all to master the new skills at level 80. After level 80, they begin the path to divinity. At level 80, many professionals start to engage with their souls. They need to understand the essence of the soul, enhance its level, and use its power to touch the skill space and find the origin of their skills. Finally, they move the skill star core out of the skill space, transforming ordinary skills into soul skills, also known as spells. Even with just a 1% fusion rate, the transformation into a spell brings significant changes, greatly increasing the skill's power and effect. When reaching level 89, moving and transforming a skill star core can make one a half-step god. 2 skill star cores can make one a true god. At that point, a new world opens up. However, having just 2 skill star cores and 2 origin skills makes one the weakest among gods. The more origin skills one has, the stronger they are at the same level. Bai Yuan and Yen Guangxing, both at level 95, have 3 origin skills each, making them stronger than Yi Hao at the same level. Meng Anwen, being a dual profession god, has 4 origin skills, making him even more powerful. As for Lin Moyu, his path is entirely different from ordinary people. He aims to transform all his skill star cores into origin skills and even extract his 3 talents from the mysterious talent space. Only by doing so can he achieve a perfect god level, possessing unparalleled combat power and paving the way for future strength. All methods lead to the same end, and the ultimate goal is the same. Lin Moyu's eyes flickered, and he lowered his gaze. The undead army was slaughtering, continuously killing thunder trees, and his experience was rapidly increasing. His leveling speed was hundreds of times faster than other professionals. What takes others a year, he can achieve in a day. As long as there are enough monsters, leveling speed is not an issue. Lin Moyu didn't care about the battlefield. He was contemplating Antares' words.
The human race's leveling methods are not limited to one. No matter the method, the goal is to reach the final destination. Each world has different rules. In my world, the path I take is the strongest and the hardest. Only by walking this path can I navigate the great world more smoothly in the future. But I have a premonition.
Lin Moyu looked up at the sky.
My path won't be that simple.
As he approached leveling up, the feeling of suppression reappeared. The higher the level, the more pronounced the suppression. This was a suppression that even Antares couldn't trace, indicating its source was extremely high, beyond Antares' level. When Lin Moyu first mentioned this feeling to Antares, it thought Lin Moyu was mistaken. But now, Lin Moyu clearly felt the suppression again. He was certain the suppression came from deep within his soul. It was like a curse, entangling him and rooted deep in his soul. However, its level was too high, and Lin Moyu couldn't trace it even now. One group of wind flowers and thunder trees after another was wiped out. After a day, Lin Moyu's body glowed with the light of leveling up. Unlike any previous leveling up, this time, the light was golden, heavy and dazzling. The golden light originated from his soul, spreading throughout his body and radiating from his skin. Lin Moyu was enveloped in golden light, turning into a golden figure. Level 80 is a threshold, the first time the soul emits a cry. From this level, one begins to engage with the soul. The focus of cultivation shifts from killing monsters to soul comprehension. Of course, killing monsters is still necessary, as it provides experience, which is soul power. This is the world's rule, unavoidable in this world. Lin Moyu felt a significant increase in soul power as he leveled up. The increase was greater than several previous levels combined. Level 80 is indeed a qualitative change. As his soul power increased, Lin Moyu sat in the air, beginning to comprehend. Others need to explore and touch the skill space at this level, requiring long periods of exploration, often without success. But Lin Moyu, like a bandit, kicked open the door to the skill space, descending with immense soul power. 707. Chapter 707. I've got a bone to pick with you. The power of Lin Moyu's soul was at level 80, not much stronger than other professionals. However, the level of his soul was different, and the same soul power had completely different effects. It's like comparing a pound of wood to a pound of iron. Both weigh the same, but a pound of iron can easily crush a pound of wood. Lin Moyu was in such a state now. His soul power, compared to other level 80 professionals, was much purer. Even newly ascended god-level professionals couldn't compare to Lin Moyu. Lin Moyu's soul level had already reached level 93, falling within the range of mid-level gods. His soul power was like a bandit familiar with the way. The door to the skill space had long been opened, and facing Lin Moyu's forceful entry, it had no defense. This time, Lin Moyu wasn't here to seize skill star cores, but to find the unactivated skill star cores. At level 80, it was time to ignite the remaining skill star cores. Lin Moyu was curious about what his level 80 skill would be like. With some anticipation, his soul power rushed to the deepest part of the skill space.
Nothing?
Lin Moyu was puzzled. In the deepest part of the skill space, he couldn't find any unactivated skill star cores. Could it be that he had no new skills at level 80? That shouldn't be the case. The skill space wasn't large, and even the smallest unactivated skill star core should be easy to find. His soul power spread out like a large net, covering every inch of space, leaving nothing untouched. His soul power flowed over the glowing skill star cores one by one, but he found nothing. Lin Moyu was even more puzzled, as if he had encountered something unbelievable. No skill at level 80? Were his skills capped? Impossible. Lin Moyu wasn't one to give up easily. In the next second, Lin Moyu thought of the suppressive force he had felt. It seemed like something was blocking his perception. Especially now, just after leveling up, his soul power had surged, and his soul's sensitivity was incredibly sharp. He could clearly feel the suppressive force. The feeling of suppression was unpleasant, obscuring his senses. Lin Moyu began a new round of searching, more meticulously than before. His soul power continuously searched the skill space, inch by inch, leaving no stone unturned. Lin Moyu sat in midair, silent and motionless. The glow of leveling up had long since faded, but Lin Moyu remained still. Days passed, and Lin Moyu sat for 5 days. The undead army, his most loyal guards, formed a defensive circle under the command of the Lich General. Layer upon layer, they protected Lin Moyu. Anyone who approached would be considered an enemy. During these 5 days, Lin Moyu had scoured the skill space repeatedly but found nothing. The more this happened, the more curious Lin Moyu became. He had great confidence in himself and believed it was impossible not to have a level 80 skill. Moreover, during these 5 days, the feeling of suppression hadn't diminished. It had even intensified. It seemed to be saying,
"If you don't give up, I won't retreat."
Lin Moyu decided to confront it head-on. Since it wouldn't retreat, he would search even harder. After 5 days, Lin Moyu took out Antares' dragon scale and activated it. The undead army disappeared, and Lin Moyu instantly appeared beside Antares. Antares sensed Lin Moyu's presence and opened its eyes slightly.
"Kid, you've reached level 80.
Antares wasn't surprised that Lin Moyu had reached level 80. Leveling up wasn't difficult. If not for various distractions, leveling up would be easy for Lin Moyu. But in the next second, Antares sensed something was off about Lin Moyu.
Kid, are you all right?"
Lin Moyu didn't respond. His brows were furrowed, as if he were in a special state. Antares fully opened its eyes, and its giant dragon eyes glowed with golden light, enveloping Lin Moyu like searchlights. In its vision, Lin Moyu's form magnified infinitely, and Antares could see everything about him. At its level, if it wanted to see clearly, it didn't matter whether Lin Moyu was willing or not. It saw Lin Moyu's soul, and Lin Moyu's soul was also furrowing its brows.
"Come in."
Lin Moyu seemed to sense Antares' gaze and squeezed out a voice from his soul. Antares didn't hesitate and instantly entered Lin Moyu's soul world. Lin Moyu's soul voice echoed through the soul world.
"Watch over my soul. I'm wrestling with the force suppressing me."
Antares frowned. In Lin Moyu's soul, it was just a thought and couldn't exert much power. A thought could see and hear, but that was all.
"I need to bring in more power."
Antares said. Lin Moyu didn't hesitate.
"Do it."
With a simple word, he showed complete trust in Antares. Antares let out a dragon roar, and its soul power surged like a tidal wave. In Lin Moyu's soul world, it quickly condensed into a physical form, a giant purple-gold dragon. This was a manifestation of Antares' soul power, essentially a soul avatar. With enough power, Antares could use some of its abilities. The dragon burst into radiant light, instantly turning Lin Moyu's soul space purple-gold. A giant dragon eye appeared in the soul world, reflecting Lin Moyu's soul.
Dragon Insight.
Antares used its technique, Dragon Insight. Antares said,
Focus on your task. I'll handle things here. All right.
Lin Moyu felt reassured, and his soul instantly calmed, fully immersing in the skill space. Lin Moyu began searching for the skill star core that should exist. He didn't believe he had no level 80 skill. He used all his soul power to search, determined to find it. The more soul power he used, the more he felt the suppression. The inexplicable feeling seemed to be opposing him, growing stronger. Antares kept a close watch on Lin Moyu's soul. Dragon Insight, a technique of the dragon race, was said to reveal all. At Antares' level, it believed nothing could escape its sight. However, Lin Moyu had previously mentioned something unusual, which Antares hadn't detected at the time, dismissing it as Lin Moyu's imagination. But now, with Lin Moyu at level 80 and his soul at level 93, it couldn't be a mere mistake.
Did I miss something?
Antares thought, scrutinizing everything carefully. Lin Moyu had mobilized over 99% of his soul energy, leaving nothing behind. In this state, Antares finally noticed something.
Found it. Hidden so deeply, let's see what you are.
It saw a point, and Dragon Insight fully activated, magnifying the object in its sight. After magnifying it millions of times, it finally saw it clearly. Antares let out a startled cry, and Dragon Insight shattered. 708. Chapter 708. Are you afraid I'll despair if you tell me? Antares' exclamation echoed through Lin Moyu's soul world. His voice was filled with fear, as if he had seen something terrifying. However, Lin Moyu was fully immersed in the skill space and did not hear it. The soul avatar that Antares had condensed seemed to be trembling, or more accurately, shivering. It appeared to be afraid. Not only the soul avatar, but even its main body was afraid.
The Great World Curse. How can it be the Great World Curse? You brat, what is your background? How could you be cursed by the Great World?
The image it couldn't shake from its mind was a rune, both extremely simple and extremely complex. There weren't many beings who could recognize this rune, and unfortunately, Antares was one of them. Antares recognized it at a glance. It was a Great World rune, representing the most profound and primordial rune of the Great World. The Great World rune also had another meaning. It was the most fundamental power of the Great World, the most primordial rule, the source of everything, the ancestor. The Great World was not the small world where Lin Moyu resided. The difference between the two was like the ocean and a drop of water, an unimaginable disparity. In the Great World, there is a legend that whoever can master the Great World rune can become the master of the Great World, the supreme being. Countless invincible beings have tried to master the Great World rune, all ending in failure. Yet, over countless years, invincible beings have continued to try, striving for it. Mastering the Great World rune is the ultimate goal of the path of the strong. But even seeing the Great World rune is extremely difficult. It can be said that over 90% of the invincible beings in the Great World have never seen it. Antares had once seen it by chance. That was during a ceremony worshipping the ancestral dragon, where the ancestral dragon manifested, and there was an imprint of the Great World rune on its body. It wasn't a real rune, just an imprint. At that time, Antares was still young, far from being as powerful as it is now. But that scene was forever etched in its memory, unforgettable even after countless years. Later, it learned that this was the Great World rune, and not everyone was qualified to see it. But now, there was a Great World rune in Lin Moyu's soul, though it brought him no benefits, only a curse. Antares finally understood that Lin Moyu's feeling was not wrong. He was indeed cursed. But why would the Great World rune curse Lin Moyu, such an insignificant being? Even the world Lin Moyu was in was just a drop of water to the great world, and Lin Moyu was even more insignificant within that drop. Why would the great world rune curse him? Suppress him? What was Lin Moyu's true background? Antares was extremely curious, but it knew that no matter how much it thought, it wouldn't figure it out. Even Lin Moyu himself didn't know the answer. Antares looked at Lin Moyu's soul, constantly pondering a solution. How should it deal with the curse of the Great World Rune? Should it abandon Lin Moyu now? Or what should it do? Since Lin Moyu was cursed by the Great World Rune, his future was destined to be bleak. No matter what Lin Moyu's identity was, it seemed unimportant now. His future held no light. If it helped Lin Moyu, would it also be implicated? This was the Great World Rune, after all. Even the ancestral dragon, knowing some inside information, Antares felt deep fear. What should it do? Antares was deeply conflicted. Lin Moyu was still searching for his skill star core in the skill space. But Antares already knew that Lin Moyu was destined to return empty-handed. Impossible to succeed. Unless Antares knew Lin Moyu's character. He would never give up. If he failed once, he would try a second time. If it told him the truth, Lin Moyu might collapse, but more likely he would stubbornly resist. But to resist the Great World Rune, that would be to resist the entire Great World. Was there any hope? Antares' memories churned, its eyes flickering. Scenes from the past surged up.
We are friends. I'll help you fight back. Right or wrong doesn't matter. If you want to kill someone, I'll help you kill them. Because we are friends. I believe in you, in everything.
Lin Moyu's words echoed like waves. Antares' gaze gradually became firm, and after a few seconds it made a decision. Its main body let out a soft hum, and a vast power descended from the sky, falling on Lin Moyu. The undead army in the summoning space collectively collapsed, then resurrected. Then came the second attack, the third, the fourth. With 4 consecutive attacks, Lin Moyu's body suddenly flashed with purple light, and his comprehensive rebirth talent was activated. Without the undying aura of the elemental lich, 4 times were enough. In the soul world, Lin Moyu's previously empty soul became full again. However, after the rebirth, Lin Moyu's consciousness was forcibly pulled back. Lin Moyu's soul opened its eyes.
What's wrong?
Antares, deep in thought, said,
I've found the reason. I'm debating whether to tell you the answer.
Antares' tone was heavy, making Lin Moyu realize the gravity of the situation.
Are you afraid I can't handle it?
Lin Moyu asked solemnly. Talking to a smart person was easy. With 1 sentence, Lin Moyu understood why. Antares nodded but didn't speak. Lin Moyu chuckled.
No need to worry. My tolerance isn't as weak as you think.
Antares said,
This answer is very despairing. There is no complete despair in the world, only the fear of not knowing. Once you know, you can always find a way to hope.
Lin Moyu was indifferent. He just wanted to know the answer. Antares thought for a moment.
All right, I'll tell you. There is indeed a curse in your soul.
Lin Moyu had examined his soul countless times and never found anything.
The curse must be very high level. Extremely, extremely, extremely high.
Antares used 3.
Extremely.
Showing its attitude.
How high? Don't beat around the bush. Just say it all at once. Let's see how despairing it can be.
Lin Moyu seemed impatient, preferring to hear everything at once. He didn't like the slow, torturous approach. Antares let out a dragon roar, took a deep breath, and finally spoke.
All right, I'll explain slowly. You have a curse in your body, but the curse is just a surface. Its core is the Great World Rune. The Great World Rune is the core power of the Great World, something all invincible beings seek. But no one has ever succeeded. I don't know why the Great World Rune appeared in your body, and it's even cursing you. But with this rune, you are opposed by the entire Great World.
Antares finally said everything in one breath and let out a long sigh of relief, finally relaxing. After hearing this, Lin Moyu slowly exhaled 2 words.
Is that all?
709. 709. Chapter 709. Fear mixed with excitement. Antares let out another dragon cry, filled with astonishment. Lin Moyu responded with a murmur, making Antares feel puzzled.
You're not afraid?
Lin Moyu shook his head.
What's the use of being afraid? Besides, I had already guessed it. How could you have guessed?
Antares was completely unconvinced.
What's so strange about that? Back then, even you couldn't see my condition, and I had already guessed that my problem might be serious. Now you're telling me it's the Great World Rune. Although I don't know how terrifying the Great World Rune is, it must be terrifying. But so what? There are only 2 things I can do. One is to accept reality and give up struggling, which is to accept my fate. 2 is to not give up and keep struggling. Even if I'm just an ant, I'll still try to break through this sky. Moreover, didn't you say that all the invincible beings in the great world are pursuing it? Since it's in my soul, it might even be a good thing.
Lin Moyu showed no fear at all, as if he were talking about something very ordinary. Antares was once again shocked by Lin Moyu's words, unable to imagine how Lin Moyu could accept it so calmly. For anyone else, this should be utter despair. But in Lin Moyu's eyes, not a trace of despair could be seen, only determination. At this moment, a certain emotion was stirred within Antares as well. The decision it had made earlier became even more resolute. Antares said in a deep voice,
Since that's the case, let's try to see if we can break through the sky.
Lin Moyu said,
You can actually stay out of this.
Antares shook its dragon head.
You said it yourself, we are friends.
It emphasized the word,
friends,
so heavily that Lin Moyu couldn't refuse. Since he couldn't refuse, they might as well do it together. Give it their all, and even if they fail, at least they won't regret not trying. It's better than not trying at all and regretting it later. Otherwise, how could they be at peace?
Then tell me, what should I do?
Antares said,
In our dragon race, there is a secret technique that can temporarily put the soul into a dormant state and cut off all connections with the outside world. Using this technique together with the soul-splitting method, we might be able to temporarily escape the curse of the Great World Rune.
Lin Moyu thought for a moment.
You mean I should use the soul-splitting method to split off a wisp of my soul, and then transfer my consciousness into that wisp of soul? After that, let my main soul enter a dormant state and cut off all connections. Make the Great World Rune think my soul has fallen asleep, so it won't interfere anymore. And the wisp of consciousness that I split off will enter the soul's space and ignite the skill star course.
Antares nodded.
That's right, but it will also require some other methods.
Lin Moyu had already guessed Antares' idea. Not only would it require the soul-splitting method and the dragon race's secret technique, but it would also need a corresponding soul container. Most importantly, it would require his comprehensive rebirth talent. Without this talent, everything would be impossible. Antares began to prepare. A huge dragon scale flew out from the dense mist and came before Antares. Antares breathed dragon breath, and the dragon scale instantly burst into flames. The dragon scale split into 10 pieces in the dragon breath, constantly changing shape until they turned into transparent crystals. But it didn't end there. Antares continued to bake the crystals with dragon breath, removing impurities. After baking for 3 days and 3 nights, the crystals, which were originally larger than Lin Moyu's body, had shrunk to the size of a fist. Their shape had also changed, taking the form of a divine dragon. They looked exactly like dragon soul crystals, except they were colorless. Antares brought the colorless dragon soul crystals and re-entered Lin Moyu's soul world.
Pour your soul power through the 9-colored dragon soul crystal and into these.
Antares sent the colorless dragon soul crystals to Lin Moyu. Lin Moyu sensed an extraordinary aura from them. These colorless dragon soul crystals could store soul power, while the 9-colored dragon soul crystal had the ability to purify soul power. Lin Moyu immediately poured a large amount of soul power into the 9-colored dragon soul crystal. which instantly began to breathe out dragon breath, pouring mouthfuls of purified soul power into the colorless dragon soul crystals. Antares said,
These colorless dragon soul crystals are tools our dragon race uses to temporarily store soul power, but their use is not great, only for emergencies.
For the dragon race, the colorless dragon soul crystals were not very useful. They could only temporarily store soul power, and there weren't many occasions where they were needed. But now, Lin Moyu's use for them was just right. There is no such thing as useless. There are only useless places. Lin Moyu poured his soul power into the colorless dragon soul crystals without reservation. One colorless dragon soul crystal could perfectly store all of Lin Moyu's soul power. After pouring in the soul power, the originally colorless dragon soul crystals gained color. Golden soul energy flowed within the dragon soul crystals, making them glow like beautiful jade. During the process of Lin Moyu pouring in his soul, Antares was not idle either. It once again activated Dragon Insight, staring unblinkingly at the entire process. It was afraid that the curse power of the Great World Rune would also enter the Dragon Soul Crystals along with Lin Moyu's soul power. Fortunately, it didn't happen. The soul power, after being purified by the 9-colored Dragon Soul Crystal, became extremely pure. Even after the process was completely finished, Antares still didn't feel at ease and carefully examined it again before confirming there was no problem. He spoke.
I'm going to kill you now.
Lin Moyu nodded.
Go ahead.
As soon as the words fell, Antares' power struck Lin Moyu. The undead army collectively collapsed. Antares' attacks came one after another, and after 4 such attacks, Lin Moyu's body was enveloped in purple light as his comprehensive rebirth talent was activated. After being reborn, Lin Moyu poured his soul power into the 2nd colorless dragon soul crystal. Antares continued to watch the entire process with Dragon Insight, ensuring there were no problems throughout. The Great World Rune was not only powerful but also mysterious. No one knew what might happen, and no one could guarantee there wouldn't be an accident. Antares was filled with fear and apprehension towards the Great World Rune, not daring to relax even slightly during the process. This was an act of defiance against the Great World Rune, and Antares felt a sense of excitement amidst the fear. It felt like it was creating a miracle, doing something no one else dared to even think about.
Old guy, if you knew what I'm doing now, you'd probably be scared enough to lose your dragon horns. This Great World Rune that you all value so much, that everyone is pursuing, I'm actually defying it.
Antares muttered in its heart, its eyes flickering with excitement. The two cooperated seamlessly, using the comprehensive rebirth talent over and over again to store a large amount of soul power in the colorless dragon soul crystals. As temporary containers for soul power, the colorless dragon soul crystals could only last for a few days. The soul power inside would gradually dissipate. In just half a day, 10 dragon soul crystals filled with soul power, glowing with a golden radiance, had been completed. Each one contained an entire portion of Lin Moyu's soul power. The purple light flashed again, and Lin Moyu was reborn from his talent. His soul was once again full. Antares was very solemn, saying in a deep voice,
The next step is the most important one. You must control the amount precisely, not too much and not too little. If it's too much, it will attract the attention of the Great World Rune. If it's too little, you won't be able to control the soul power, and you might not even be able to form a complete consciousness.
710. Chapter 710. Sleep, 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 and all your troubles will disappear. Just like Antares, Lin Moyu was also somewhat solemn at this moment. If this step was not done well, all the previous preparations would be in vain. Lin Moyu used the soul calming technique, carefully splitting a wisp of soul from his main soul body. Too much wouldn't work, and too little wouldn't either. The difficulty was very high. If it were in the past, when Lin Moyu had just mastered the soul-splitting technique, he would not have been able to do it. But now, thanks to the training of the undead wing skill, his control over soul power had greatly improved, and his understanding of the soul-calming technique was also completely different from before. Therefore, this plan was possible. Wisps of soul split from the main body, forming a soul clone. The soul clone gradually solidified, becoming a second Lin Moyu. The second Lin Moyu was obviously smaller than the main body, and because of the lack of soul power, it appeared somewhat illusory. Previously, he could split 10 wisps of soul, but those 10 wisps did not carry consciousness. Now, the split soul needed to carry consciousness, which was a completely different level of difficulty. Lin Moyu was very careful, doing it bit by bit. After spending half a day, he finally split out a complete soul clone. Antares still watched the entire process with his dragon wisdom eyes. It wasn't until Lin Moyu's soul clone nodded at him that Antares let out a long sigh of relief. The Great World Rune was still in Lin Moyu's main soul body, without any movement. Apparently, the Great World Rune had no interest in the soul clone. The soul clone was too weak, less than 1% of the main body, not worth paying attention to. Antares said in a low voice,
"Next, I will use a secret technique to put your main soul body into a deep sleep. Your consciousness will be impacted by the secret technique. If you can't withstand it, your consciousness will fall asleep with the main soul body, and your soul clone will collapse simultaneously."
Lin Moyu knew that deceiving the Great World Rune would not be easy. Now, he could only take one step at a time. However, he was full of confidence, and like Antares, he was a little excited.
Let's begin.
Lin Moyu took a deep breath. In the soul state, he didn't need to breathe. It was just a habit. The main body and the clone breathed simultaneously, which looked a bit funny. Antares chanted softly, and a dragon appeared in the soul world. The dragon exhaled clouds of mist, which turned into dark clouds and enveloped Lin Moyu's main soul body. Secret technique, cloud of unconsciousness. According to Antares, the cloud of unconsciousness could block all senses, putting the target into a deep sleep, making it hard to resist. Moreover, the cloud of unconsciousness cast by Antares was far beyond Lin Moyu's level. Lin Moyu's main soul body had no resistance and fell asleep almost instantly. As the main body fell asleep, the other consciousness was also affected. Lin Moyu's consciousness became chaotic, feeling like he was about to fall. A strong sense of drowsiness hit him. At this moment, he very much wanted to sleep forever, never to wake up. In the cloud of unconsciousness, once asleep, all 6 senses would be closed, leading to a complete slumber. Without someone to wake him, he could sleep for hundreds or thousands of years. Lin Moyu remembered Antares' words, and his clone's consciousness struggled to stay awake, fighting the drowsiness. Antares also watched closely. As the main body fell asleep, the Great World Rune seemed to lose its activity. The result was as expected, and Antares also breathed a sigh of relief. Then, his attention shifted to Lin Moyu's soul clone. The soul clone was fighting the drowsiness transmitted from the main body.
"Hold on. You must hold on,"
Antares whispered, without much confidence, because it was too difficult. Lin Moyu's soul level was not high, and his strength was weak, making it very hard. But now he had no choice but to do it. Lin Moyu's soul clone trembled constantly, showing that he was struggling. But the drowsiness brought by the cloud of unconsciousness was too strong, and Lin Moyu was gradually unable to hold on. The drowsiness grew stronger, and in a daze, Lin Moyu seemed to hear someone constantly saying to him,
"Sleep, sleep, sleep, and all your troubles will disappear."
Suddenly, a purple light flew from the depths of his soul, crossing time and space, and landed on Lin Moyu's soul clone. Lin Moyu shuddered and woke up suddenly. Antares showed a look of shock. This purple light came very strangely, and the aura contained in the purple light was vast, almost comparable to the Great World Rune. The source of the purple light, Antares could see at a glance, was a spark, a purple spark. Antares wanted to find the source of the purple light but couldn't. Its appearance was very abrupt, and it disappeared just as abruptly. It left no trace, extremely mysterious. Even Antares didn't know where it came from. The purple light was just a spark, an insignificant spark. After rushing into the soul clone, the original drowsiness disappeared instantly, and Lin Moyu was completely awake. The effect of the cloud of unconsciousness was completely gone.
How is it?
Antares asked in a deep voice. Lin Moyu nodded.
We can proceed to the next step.
When Lin Moyu was in a daze, he saw the purple light flying towards him and vaguely guessed its origin. The world of talent. The most mysterious part of his soul. In the world of talent, there were 3 purple flames, representing his 3 unique talents. Most importantly, the world of talent also had his system. The spark that turned into purple light should be related to them. No matter what it was, now that he was awake, he had to proceed to the next step. Other matters had to wait. Lin Moyu knew the priorities. Following the prearranged plan, Lin Moyu's soul clone entered the skill space. 10 colorless dragon soul crystals filled with soul power followed closely. The soul clone itself had very little soul power, less than 1% of the main body. But at this moment, the clone was only used as a medium. The clone communicated with one of the dragon soul crystals, and the soul power stored inside poured out instantly, spreading across the entire skill space at an astonishing speed. Lin Moyu had to hurry. Who knew how long the effect of the cloud of unconsciousness would last? After all, the opponent was the Great World Rune, the most fundamental power of the entire Great World. Even those old men riding green oxen might not have discovered the existence of the Great World Rune on him. If it woke up and intervened again, he would have no chance at all. Every second counted? No, even 0.01 seconds could decide life and death. The first Dragon Soul Crystal was activated, and the soul power inside spread across the skill space in less than a second. Lin Moyu's eyes flashed with brilliance.
Found it. There are indeed skills.
The skill star cores that he couldn't find before were now found. There were only 3 skill star cores, representing his 3 level 80 skills. The previous skills were hidden by the Great World Rune in a way he couldn't understand. Now, without the interference of the Great World Rune, he found them easily. Lin Moyu didn't dare to waste even 0.1 seconds. As soon as he found them, the remaining Dragon Soul Crystals were activated. The vast soul energy surged forward, rushing into the skill star cores to ignite them. The skill star cores began to glow. The laws of heaven and earth operated, and magical power descended from the sky, entering Lin Moyu's body, passing through the soul world, and entering the skill space. Activating the skill star cores would inevitably cause a resonance of laws. At the moment of low resonance, Lin Moyu's main soul body suddenly opened its eyes. The Great World Rune began to shine. 711 711. Chapter 711. Trash should have the awareness of trash. Antares let out a roar, filled with fear. Lin Moyu's body lit up with countless points of light, each transforming into the shape of a divine dragon. These points of light were distributed throughout his body, interconnected and forming a large net. These were all arrangements made by Antares. During the time spent cooperating with Lin Moyu, Antares had already made preparations for such unexpected situations. The net was created by Antares' power, filled with profound laws, aiming to delay the cursed power of the Great World Rune. Stopping it was impossible. Antares was well aware of this. It knew how terrifying the Great World Rune was. There were many legends about the Great World Rune within the Dragon Clan, each one incredibly mysterious. Many invincible powerhouses of the Dragon Clan had disappeared while pursuing the Great World Rune, never to return. Antares was unwilling to have any contact with the Great World Rune, but for Lin Moyu, it was willing to risk everything. Couldn't stop it, but it could try to delay it, buying more time for Lin Moyu. A massive force carrying laws formed a thick defense, blocking the Great World Rune. An unimaginable curse power emerged from the rune, colliding with Antares' defensive net. The net shattered like tofu. For the first time, Antares truly witnessed the power of the Great World Rune. This was the most fundamental power in the Great World, a power everyone desired to control. Now, it had finally come into contact with it, but as an enemy. It didn't know whether to be happy or sad. Antares' soul was also affected by the collapse of the defensive net, causing it discomfort, though not to the point of injury. Antares' eyes showed a crazed look.
I don't believe it. No matter how powerful you are, can I not even delay you?
Antares roared, pouring a large amount of soul power into the net. It used nearly half of its soul power, which was far beyond Lin Moyu's level. Because of Lin Moyu's talent for complete rebirth, Antares didn't worry about Lin Moyu's safety. Its soul power, carrying terrifying laws, surged forward, clashing directly with the cursed power of the Great World Rune. The two forces collided, and the immense power spread uncontrollably. Lin Moyu's body was injured by the terrifying power, and the undead army was instantly wiped out. Antares' power was crushed in an instant, and the cursed power of the Great World Rune pierced through Antares' attack like an unstoppable spear. At this moment, Antares was no longer afraid. It became even more crazed, laughing wildly.
Haha, I still managed to slow you down a bit. It seems you're not invincible after all.
Antares' laughter was filled with madness. Although it was defeated, it felt the Great World Rune pause for a moment. Even a pause of less than 0.1 seconds was significant. If it could pause for 0.1 seconds, it might be able to pause for 0.3 seconds or even longer. In the midst of its laughter, Antares once again charged forward with its power. The invisible force used Lin Moyu's body as a battlefield, engaging in a fierce battle. Lin Moyu, unaware of the events outside the skill space, was fully focused on activating the 3 skill star cores. Activating all 3 skill star cores simultaneously was challenging, but he had no time to waste. Fortunately, he was well prepared, with abundant soul energy. The 3 skill star cores grew brighter, beginning to emit light. The laws of heaven and earth continued to pour in, merging with the skill star cores, making them active. Suddenly, Lin Moyu found his clone reconnecting with his main body.
Not good.
He realized that his main body had awakened for some reason. With the main body awake, the Great World Rune would also awaken, leaving him with little time. Lin Moyu urgently pushed his soul energy into the skill star cores, accelerating the process. Meanwhile, outside, Antares clashed repeatedly with the Great World Rune, its power spreading across the ancient battlefield, even reaching the lower and deeper spaces. Roars of anger and bloodlust echoed from the deep space. At this moment, all the monsters, bosses, and even the human, dragon, and demon warriors felt a massive power descending upon them, making the air thick and breathing difficult. Antares' massive dragon body, over 10,000 meters long, coiled on the ground, its scales standing on end. A vortex appeared above its head, connecting to the deep space, from which roars emerged. Lightning and thunder flashed, as if something terrifying was about to emerge.
Shut up.
Antares roared.
This is none of your business, you bug.
Golden light shot from its dragon eyes, dispersing the vortex. As the vortex collapsed, a scream seemed to echo from within. Antares sneered.
You think you can interfere with my business? Trash should have the awareness of trash. Come on, let's fight another 300 rounds.
It roared, filled with battle intent, and charged back into Lin Moyu's soul world. The cursed power of the Great World Rune continued to advance, and Antares could only delay it, not stop it. It knew its limits, having only managed to delay it for less than a second. As the cursed power was about to enter the skill space, another purple light flew from the depths of Lin Moyu's soul, accurately hitting the Great World Rune. The rune trembled violently, igniting with a roar. The cursed power stopped in its tracks. The Great World Rune shone brightly, extinguishing the flames. Another second passed. A single spark was more effective than all of Antares' efforts. An unusual aura rose from Lin Moyu's body, and his soul emitted an extraordinary light. Antares was the first to sense it and laughed heartily.
It worked. I won. It seems the Great World Rune isn't invincible after all.
712. Chapter 712. Sooner or later, I will step on you. Antares' laughter shook the entire ancient battlefield. The earth trembled, mountains collapsed, and the ocean surged with waves reaching thousands of meters high, as if trying to pierce the sky. It laughed recklessly, almost madly. Only Antares could understand its current mood, which could only be expressed through laughter. In the Dragon Clan's legends, the Great World Rune represented supreme power, extreme danger, and immense strength. Contact with the Great World Rune meant certain death. Just now, it had prepared to fight to the death. But the result was not as bad as expected. Not only did it not die, but it also survived well. It even gained some insights from the confrontation with the Great World Rune. It realized that the Great World Rune was not completely unstoppable. With its power, although it couldn't match the Great World Rune, it could still delay it a bit. Even if it was just for 1 second, it was considered a success. Lin Moyu's entire body was enveloped by the laws, with the laws of heaven and earth continuously pouring in. The skill star cores in the skill space were already fully lit. The skills were activated, and the curse power carried by the Great World Rune retreated, returning to the soul body and lying dormant. When it was not activated, it was invisible. Even if Antares used its dragon wisdom eyes to search inch by inch, it couldn't find it. Only when it took action could it be detected. The clone disappeared, and the main body's consciousness entered the skill space. Looking at the increasingly bright skill star cores, the consciousness let out a light laugh.
This battle is my victory. Although I don't know why, no one can stop me. Even the Great World Rune, I will tear you apart.
The consciousness exited the skill space and returned to reality. At this moment, Antares also stopped roaring, and the space seemed to still echo with the previous roars. Lin Moyu looked at Antares, and Antares looked at Lin Moyu. Just as Lin Moyu was about to speak, Antares interrupted.
Don't say thank you, it's useless.
Lin Moyu looked at the self-righteous Antares.
I wasn't planning to say thank you.
Antares snorted.
Then what are you going to say?
Lin Moyu said.
You look a bit miserable. Do you need some treatment?
As the mist cleared, Antares' body was exposed to Lin Moyu's sight. Antares looked somewhat withered, with its dragon scales peeling off like withered leaves. The consumption of soul power was too great, making Antares look a bit listless. However, Antares seemed quite excited, shaking its big head.
It's fine. I'll be better in a few days.
As it spoke, the mist reappeared, once again enveloping its dragon body, leaving only a big head exposed. Lin Moyu asked,
How did it feel to confront the Great World Rune?
Although he didn't see the whole process, Lin Moyu could imagine the danger at that time. Antares' eyes sparkled.
It was thrilling, very exciting.
Lin Moyu said,
Don't get too excited. There will be more opportunities in the future.
Antares widened its eyes.
You mean it will stop you again?
Lin Moyu nodded.
Since level 60, I've felt a vague suppression. The higher the level, the more obvious the feeling, but it never took action. Until this time at level 80, it finally took real action. Since it has acted, it won't just act once, it will definitely appear again in the future.
Antares said solemnly,
This time we were lucky, especially the last bit of purple spark. I don't know where it came from, but it could compete with the Great World Rune.
Lin Moyu said.
It came from the world of talent.
Antares looked at Lin Moyu, instinctively realizing that Lin Moyu had a big secret. Lin Moyu saw the clue in Antares' eyes.
I know I have a big secret, but I don't know what it is. I only caught a glimpse of the world of talent. When I find out, I'll tell you first.
Antares nodded.
Let's see your new skills, the skills that even the Great World Rune tried to stop you from getting. How strong are they?
Not only was Antares curious, but Lin Moyu was also curious. At this moment, the skill star cores were fully lit. When the laws of heaven and earth stopped pouring in, the skill awakening was completely finished. The scene in front of him changed, and Lin Moyu's vision was enveloped by a starry sky. In the starry sky, countless strong beings from various races were charging towards him. For these strong beings, the distance of billions of miles was nothing. They could reach in the blink of an eye. Some of them were like meteors, some were glowing like stars, crashing towards him. Along the way, countless skeletons were knocked away, unable to resist. It was still the necromancer in the robe. He raised his staff high, and the silver gem on the staff shone brightly. The light illuminated the sky, accompanied by a terrifying roar, and millions of skeletal dragons surrounded by flames flew out from the light. They fought fiercely with the strong beings of various races. The skeletal dragons were extremely powerful, tearing the strong beings of various races into pieces. They breathed deadly dragon breath, turning large numbers of strong beings into bones, disintegrating their flesh, and killing them on the spot. The scene disappeared, and Lin Moyu shuddered, looking at Antares with shock in his eyes. Skill acquired. Summon Skeletal Dragon. Summon Skeletal Dragon. Level 80. Summon a Skeletal Dragon. It was a new summoning skill, summoning a skeletal dragon. Just by looking at the skill demonstration, one could feel the power of the skeletal dragon. There seemed to be dragons among the various races just now, also killed by the skeletal dragon. Antares asked,
What's wrong? You look shocked. Is the skill that strong?
Lin Moyu nodded.
Let me check the other skills. I'll tell you all at once.
Then he began to check the second skill. The scene in front of him changed again. Lin Moyu was slightly shocked. Every time a skill demonstration appeared, it meant the skill was extremely powerful. It was the same for the previous skills. But each time a skill awakened, only one skill would have a demonstration. Unexpectedly, at level 80, 2 skills in a row had demonstrations. It was still the starry sky. The battle continued. The starry sky was already filled with corpses, both of strong beings from various races and undead. At this moment, the necromancer raised his staff again. Silver-white flames appeared inexplicably in the starry sky. The silver-white flames were the flames of the undead world, without warmth, but carrying a terrifying aura of death. These flames fell on the corpses, and the corpses began to revive. Flesh was reborn, and in the blink of an eye, they returned to their original forms. In an instant, the corpses in the starry sky disappeared, turning back into strong beings of various races. However, the bodies of these resurrected beings emitted a black aura, completely different from before. Lin Moyu saw clearly from a god's perspective that these beings were not like living beings. After resurrection, the strong beings of various races quickly joined the battle, but they had turned their weapons against their own kind. After being resurrected by the necromancer, they became the necromancer's subordinates, obeying his commands. Moreover, they were stronger than when they were alive. Countless strong beings died at the hands of their former comrades. The scene shattered and disappeared, but the shock in Lin Moyu's heart was hard to erase. This demonstration made him realize the terror of the necromancer again. Using war to sustain war, this was the only way to describe it. Skill acquired. Resurrection of the dead. Resurrection of the dead. Use a corpse or soul as a medium to temporarily resurrect the target, making them your subordinate and enhancing their combat power. Resurrection duration. 24 hours. 713. Chapter 713. Skills with infinite possibilities. Lin Moyu looked at the skill description, which was simple and unadorned. From the skill demonstration, Lin Moyu saw the power of the skill. The more the opponent fought, the fewer their numbers became, while his own forces grew stronger and more numerous, seemingly endless. One person against an entire army was not an exaggeration. Moreover, the resurrected enemies looked exactly the same as they did in life, but their combat power was enhanced. The pressure on the enemies was unimaginable. It was another incredibly powerful skill. No wonder the Great World Rune wanted to stop him. Lin Moyu was very curious about what he had done to provoke the Great World Rune. After all, he was just a small ant, extremely weak and insignificant. The level of the Great World Rune and himself were worlds apart. It wasn't worth it. The third skill appeared, and the scene in front of him changed again.
Third demonstration.
Lin Moyu whispered softly, his whole body excited, his fists clenched. All 3 skills had demonstrations, indicating that all 3 skills were powerful. In fact, when the second skill demonstration appeared, Lin Moyu had already guessed that the third skill might also have a demonstration. When it actually appeared, Lin Moyu still couldn't hide his excitement. It was still that starry sky, still that battle. The battle was nearing its end, and the strong beings of various races were almost all killed. Suddenly, a mass of flames flew in from afar in the starry sky. It wasn't flying, it was leaping. The flames emitted intense heat and light, like a massive star. Each leap of the star covered billions of miles, almost like teleportation. After a few leaps, the star entered the battlefield. The star emitted intense flames, instantly causing massive casualties among the undead army. Even the skeletal dragons couldn't withstand the flames and turned to ashes. Then, from the star, a large number of strong beings flew out. These strong beings could live on the star, indicating their immense power. Lin Moyu had felt similar auras before and recognized that each one was an invincible powerhouse. They were exactly like the invincible powerhouses he had seen in the primordial secret realm. As soon as they joined the battle, the undead army was defeated, unable to resist. Even the skeletal dragons were powerless against them. These beings were too overwhelmingly powerful. In an instant, billions of undead were destroyed, and the undead army was nearly wiped out. The necromancer raised his staff again, summoning countless undead to form a new army. Then the staff glowed differently, and the light spread, causing the undead army to start merging. Skeleton berserkers, skeleton archers, and skeleton mages began to merge. After merging, they turned into powerful skeletons that Lin Moyu had never seen before. They were clad in armor, wielding a flaming giant axe in their right hand and an ice shield in their left, with a whirlwind at their feet and lightning covering their bodies. Their aura was equally powerful. At the same time, a skeleton king appeared in the starry sky, far more powerful than any skeleton king Lin Moyu had summoned before. The skeletal dragon and the headless knight merged. The headless knight's warhorse disappeared, and the skeletal dragon became his mount. The headless knight transformed into a dragon knight. Elemental liches merged to form an elemental giant. All the auras were present. These beings all emitted an invincible aura. The battle erupted again, and the necromancer pointed his staff forward. With a hum, red light spread across the starry sky.
An aging cursed skill.
Lin Moyu instinctively thought, but then immediately dismissed the idea. It wasn't just a curse. In the red light, the originally blazing star seemed to be hit by a severe impact. Its flames began to flicker violently, and within seconds, it started to extinguish, eventually losing all its flames and life force. 10 seconds later, the star exploded, the explosion sweeping across the starry sky. However, in a battle of invincible powerhouses, a star-level explosion had no killing power. The scene shattered and disappeared, and Lin Moyu still hadn't fully understood the skill. Skill acquired: Infinite Fusion. Infinite Fusion. Fuse undead or skills to create new undead and skills. The fusion effect may weaken or greatly enhance depending on the fused undead and skills. It matched the skill demonstration. The necromancer used this skill to create an invincible undead army and a skill powerful enough to destroy a star. This skill, called Infinite Fusion, naturally had infinite possibilities. Lin Moyu felt that the skill in the demonstration was far from its limit, with more possibilities waiting for him to explore and discover. 2 powerful attack skills and 1 skill with infinite possibilities. The 3 ultimate skills at level 80 were too powerful. No wonder the Great World Rune wanted to stop him, especially the last skill, which had infinite possibilities. As he grew stronger, this skill would also become more powerful. And now it was just a skill, not yet integrated into his soul to become a soul skill or a spell. Could be further enhanced.
As long as I am strong enough, even the Great World Rune can be stepped on.
The necromancer in the skill demonstration could achieve that level, so could he. They were both necromancers, no one was inferior to the other. Lin Moyu was filled with pride and had no fear of the challenges ahead.
How is it?
Anteri's voice rang out, and Lin Moyu's aura had completely calmed down, indicating that he had mastered the skills. Lin Moyu said,
I'll demonstrate for you, starting with the first skill.
Skill. Summon skeletal dragon. Lin Moyu raised his hand and pointed into the distance, and the sky darkened. Even the colorful lights in the sky were obscured, and Terry's eyes narrowed slightly, murmuring,
Laws.
Lin Moyu also felt the aura of laws, faint but present. But even a faint aura of laws was enough to prove the skill's extraordinariness. A mass of silver-white flames appeared in the sky, with a vortex within the flames. A dragon's roar came from the vortex, and a strong aura of undeath spread out. And Terry's eyes narrowed further, seeing more than just the dragon's roar, but also dragon breath. Then the flames exploded, and a skeletal dragon surrounded by flames appeared. The skeletal dragon roared at the sky, its dragon roar continuous. It was about 5 meters long, surrounded by silver flames, similar to a dragon but not as large. It was much smaller than the skeletal dragon Lin Moyu had seen in the skill demonstration. It was like a miniature version, and Terry's frowned.
Is this a dragon?
Lin Moyu nodded.
A skeletal dragon, but it's only level 1 now. Wait until I train it.
And Terry scrutinized the skeletal dragon.
The aura is very pure. It seems to be a member of our dragon clan, but I've never heard of such a branch in the dragon clan.
Lin Moyu shrugged, indicating he didn't know either. He began to train the skill, wanting to avoid future trouble, so he always trained new skills to the maximum level as soon as possible. The skeletal dragon was summoned repeatedly, its level gradually increasing. Training from level 1 to level 80 was a massive undertaking. But with Lin Moyu's comprehensive connection talent, he didn't need to worry about mental power. He could summon continuously, and the skill level increased rapidly. As the skill level increased, the skeletal dragon's aura grew stronger, and its size increased. Lin Moyu felt that this might be his last time training a skill. The other 2 skills had no levels and didn't need training. 2 days later, he finally trained the skill to level 80. Only then did Lin Moyu start to check the skeletal dragon's attributes. Skeletal dragon. Level 80. Strength 1,800,000. Agility 1,800,000. Spirit 1,800,000.
Astérisque astérisque Constitution 1,8 cents,000 astérisque astérisque.
Skill. Death Dragon Breath. Level 1. Death Dragon Breath. Level 1. Breathe dragon breath filled with death energy, causing corrosive damage to the target. The attributes were very powerful, and with the talent bonus, they exceeded those of a world-class boss of the same level. Perhaps its vitality wasn't as high as a world-class boss, but looking at the skeletal dragon's size, it wouldn't be much less. And Terry said solemnly,
Attack me and see.
714. Chapter 714. Abnormal to Transcendent. A new skill naturally needs to be experimented with. Lin Moyu likes experimenting, and under Lin Moyu's influence, Antares has also become very interested in experiments. It was willing to humble itself and act as the test subject. If it hadn't spoken up itself, Lin Moyu wouldn't have dared. Now, it's only natural to proceed. The experiment has 2 steps. The first step is for the skeletal dragon to breathe its dragon breath at Antares. The dragon breath is the most commonly used and practical attack skill of the dragon race. The dragon breath covers a wide area, indiscriminately causing mass destruction. The death dragon breath exhaled by the skeletal dragon enveloped an area of about 20 meters in radius, like a lingering gray mist. Antares felt the death dragon breath, but an attack of this level naturally couldn't harm Antares.
The dragon breath carries the 2 forces of fire and corrosion, and the power of both is not weak. I sense a hint of the laws of nature, with a tiny bit of the laws fused into it, enhancing the power of the skill. Purely in terms of offensive power, it's about level 88, approaching divine level, but not quite there. However, it's precisely because of that tiny bit of the laws that once hit by the dragon breath, the target may continue to suffer damage for some time afterwards.
Antares' analysis was naturally not wrong. Lin Moyu summoned the Lich General and had it enhance the skeletal dragon with a status effect. Legion Empowerment, 0%.
Try it again.
With the status effect, the skeletal dragon's attributes were greatly increased, but due to Lin Moyu's limitations, its total attributes were capped at 9,990,000, unable to break through 10 million. Each of its attributes was just under 2,500,000, maintaining a balance between the 4 attributes. The skeletal dragon breathed its dragon breath again, and Terry said after feeling it,
The power has increased, but not by much. It's very close to divine level, but still a bit short compared to true divine level.
Lin Moyu nodded. This was the limitation of the laws of heaven and earth, which he couldn't change. Unless he could transform the summon skeletal dragon skill into a soul skill, then perhaps it could break free from the limitations of the laws of heaven and earth. But Lin Moyu wasn't in a hurry. As his own level increased, the skill would naturally become stronger. Turning it into a soul skill or a spell was only a matter of time. The first skill was tested quite simply, and Lin Moyu had a grasp of the skeletal dragon's combat power. Next, he began testing the second skill. Lin Moyu said,
Bring over a corpse.
This was an extremely easy task for Antares. The mist rolled, and a few seconds later, several corpses fell from the sky in front of Lin Moyu. They were all fresh corpses, killed and brought over by Antares. A few were from the upper realm, not particularly powerful. 2 were from the lower realm, and judging from their aura, they were over level 70. There was also 1 from the lower realm with a huge body, an ordinary boss over level 80. Antares had been very considerate, covering all bases at once. Lin Moyu locked onto the corpses with his soul and used the second skill. Skill, Resurrection of the Dead. A cluster of silver-white undead flames appeared in front of Lin Moyu, then exploded with a bang. The flames fell onto the corpses, burning fiercely. Antares looked puzzled.
Is this skill for burning corpses?
Merely 2 seconds later, accompanied by a light sound, the corpses simultaneously stood up. They were resurrected. Antares' head couldn't help but jerk back, and the atmosphere became a bit eerie. Resurrection from the dead. Even Antares had never seen such a thing before. Once dead is dead. How could the dead come back to life? The original corpses, surrounded by flames, slowly stood up, their bodies constantly swaying. They opened their eyes, their gaze sweeping around, as if they had truly been resurrected. After watching for a few seconds, Antares realized something was off. The state of these resurrected corpses was not right. Their aura had increased significantly, much stronger than when they were alive. Especially that ordinary small boss, it now radiated an aura equivalent to a lord-level boss.
What kind of skill is this?
Antares asked. Lin Moyu explained.
The skill is called Resurrection of the Dead.
He explained in detail to Antares, who muttered,
There's actually such a skill. Does this skill have any requirements for how long the corpse has been dead?
Like the previous corpse burst skill, before it was transformed into a soul skill, it required fresh corpses to exert its full power. Lin Moyu shook his head.
I'm not sure. Wait a moment.
Antares raised its dragon head, as if searching for something. Lin Moyu saw the mist rolling incessantly, as if a huge dragon claw was emerging from the mist. After half a minute, Antares threw out a complete skeleton from the mist. This skeleton was extremely intact, even maintaining the posture it had at death. It must not have been moved since dying. There were many golden specks on the skeleton, and a powerful aura could still be felt, indicating that the owner of the skeleton must have been extremely powerful in life. Lin Moyu looked at the skeleton's appearance.
Is this a demonic beast?
Antares nodded.
The skeleton of a demonic beast king. At that time, its soul was destroyed, but its body was not badly damaged and was preserved quite intact.
After more than 1,000 years, the skeleton had not decayed, showing how powerful it had been. A demonic beast king was a being on par with high-level divine professionals, with a strength of at least level 96. Lin Moyu used the resurrection of the dead skill again. A cluster of flames fell onto the demonic Beast King's skeleton, burning fiercely. Antares stared at the bones, wanting to see what this 1,000-year-old remains would become under Lin Moyu's skill. Next, it witnessed an astonishing sight. Under the silver-white undead flames, flesh and blood actually began to regenerate. This was an unimaginable thing. A skeleton that had been dead for 1,000 years was regaining its vitality. Even Antares could not comprehend it. Lin Moyu's skill refreshed its understanding of this world, making it reevaluate the mysteries of this world. The mysteries of this world far exceeded its imagination. Antares, who had claimed to know everything, suddenly realized that there were still many things in this world that it did not understand. In the blink of an eye, the demonic Beast King completed its regeneration of flesh and blood, leaping up from the ground. The demonic Beast King radiated an astonishing aura, with the laws of nature swirling around it. Not only had it been resurrected, but it was even stronger than when it was alive. It not only received a boost from the skill, but also Lin Moyu's talent enhancements since it became Lin Moyu's summon. Moreover, its resurrected combat power was not affected by Lin Moyu's own level. Antares judged that the resurrected demonic Beast King had a combat power of around level 98, approaching the half-step transcendent level. It had now become Lin Moyu's summon, allowing Lin Moyu to command it at will. After some testing, Lin Moyu cancelled the skill. All the resurrected corpses disappeared without a trace as a gust of wind blew by, truly reduced to ashes.
Abnormal. No wonder the Great World Rune tried to stop you. Your skills are too transcendent.
715. Chapter 715. What kind of trash is this? Antares let out a strange howl, filled with fear. Just by thinking about Lin Moyu's skills, he could understand how heaven-defying they were. If Lin Moyu had an ultra-divine level corpse, he could completely walk horizontally in this world. Even if it could only be maintained for 24 hours, that would be enough. For an ultra-divine powerhouse, 24 hours was enough to do many, many things. Kill the Dragon Emperor, annihilate the Demon Emperor, it seemed possible. Hard to find corpses? Antares indicated it was not a problem at all. There were corpses in the deep spaces. Antares muttered,
With this skill, you have insurance when going to the deep spaces.
Lin Moyu smiled faintly.
It's still too early. I'm only level 80. Believe me, by then I will be even stronger. Once ordinary skills transform into soul skills, the skills can be further enhanced.
Lin Moyu had always been confident in his own strength. Antares shook its head, shaking off its shock.
Come, let's see your third skill.
Lin Moyu said,
I think the third skill is the most wondrous skill. It's not an attack skill, but it's more important than the previous two skills. If I
715. Chapter 715. What kind of trash is this? Antares let out a strange howl, filled with fear. Just by thinking about Lin Moyu's skills, he could understand how heaven-defying they were. If Lin Moyu had an ultra-divine level corpse, he could completely walk horizontally in this world. Even if it could only be maintained for 24 hours, that would be enough. For an ultra-divine powerhouse, 24 hours was enough to do many, many things. Kill the Dragon Emperor, annihilate the Demon Emperor, it seemed possible. Hard to find corpses? Antares indicated it was not a problem at all. There were corpses in the deep spaces. Antares muttered,
With this skill, you have insurance when going to the deep spaces.
Lin Moyu smiled faintly.
It's still too early. I'm only level 80. Believe me, by then I will be even stronger. Once ordinary skills transform into soul skills, the skills can be further enhanced.
Lin Moyu had always been confident in his own strength. Antares shook its head, shaking off its shock.
Come, let's see your third skill.
Lin Moyu said.
I think the third skill is the most wondrous skill. It's not an attack skill, but it's more important than the previous two skills. If I could only choose one of the three skills, I would keep the third skill. The Great World Rune probably took action this time to stop this skill.
And Terry's interest was piqued.
Oh? What kind of skill is it? Infinite Fusion.
Lin Moyu said solemnly.
This skill is called Infinite Fusion.
He explained the effects of the skill, and Antares listened with some astonishment.
Try it out.
Antares said. Lin Moyu nodded, following the method shown in the skill demonstration, summoning skeleton berserkers, skeleton mages, and skeleton archers. The numbers were not large, only about 100 of each type. Then he used the Infinite Fusion skill. The three types of skeletons fused, forming a new summon. A skeleton holding a sword in its right hand and a shield in its left appeared before Lin Moyu. It wore armor, standing about 5 meters tall, much taller and more formidable than any of the previous skeletons. Just looking at its appearance, it was far inferior to the skeleton shown in the skill demonstration. But Lin Moyu didn't know if it was because his own level was too low, or because there were too few skeletons used in the fusion. In fact, the fused skeleton before him was already very powerful, emitting an aura far exceeding level 80, probably around level 85. 300 level 80 skeletons forming a level 85 skeleton. Lin Moyu didn't know if it was a gain or a loss. Skeleton General. Level 85. Strength 2,200,000. Agility 2,200,000. Spirit 2,200,000.
Astérisque astérisque Constitution. 2,2 cents, 000 astérisque astérisque.
Skill Destructive Strike. Destructive Strike. Unleash a force 10 times its own strength. Cooldown 1 minute. Skill Soul Bombardment. Soul Bombardment. Bombard the target's soul. Cooldown 1 minute. The Skeleton General had two skills. It was the product of fusion, producing some unimaginable changes, somewhat different from the Skeleton King. The Skeleton King was a separate skill with its own characteristics, but Infinite Fusion allowed for all kinds of changes. For example, Lin Moyu could fuse just the Skeleton Berserker and Skeleton Mage. If the numbers didn't change, the attributes might not change much, but the skills would definitely change. Different fusions would produce different results. The Skeleton General was enhanced by the Lich General's skills, but still couldn't break through to level 90. The 9,990,000 attribute limit was still restricting it. Currently, only soul skills could break through the level 90 limit, otherwise Lin Moyu himself would have to reach level 90. Next, Lin Moyu began all kinds of combinations, fusing skeletons with the Headless Horseman, fusing the Headless Horseman with the Skeletal Dragon, fusing the Skeletal Dragon with the Skeleton Mage. The results varied, some strong, some weak. Some results made Lin Moyu laugh bitterly. Especially one time when he fused the Skeletal Dragon with the Skeleton Mage, the result was a Skeleton Mage with a dragon's head. Its attributes were also pitifully low, not even as good as a level 70 Skeleton Mage. Infinite Fusion had good and bad outcomes. It was really unpredictable. The skill demonstration had already shown Lin Moyu some of the best fusion combinations. The rest he would have to explore and discover himself. The Skeleton General, Dragon Knight, and others were very useful. But what Lin Moyu was most interested in was that skill that could destroy stars. That red light was extremely dazzling.
The red light should be an aging curse. But what other skills were fused into it?
There was no answer. He could only keep trying. Following his own ideas, taking the aging curse as the main component, he first fused Toxic Starburst into it. Lin Moyu pointed at the sky, and with a hum, the skill was released. Within the red light, there was a tinge of green. But the power released by the skill was very weak, the destructive power clearly insufficient. Antares shook his head.
What kind of trash is this, so weak?
Lin Moyu didn't give up. He fused Bone Spear into it next. This time, not even the skill could be released. Lin Moyu's fingertips emitted a puff of smoke, shooting out only half a meter before disappearing completely. Antares couldn't help but burst into laughter, his whole head falling to the ground, laughing until he was gasping for air.
Hey, do you have to be so funny?
Lin Moyu was also surprised, never expecting such a result. Taking the aging curse as the main component should be correct, Lin Moyu then fused Soul Flame into it. Amidst Antares' laughter, Lin Moyu pointed at him. With a hum, the red light spread out, and Antares' laughter immediately stopped. His soul was slightly impacted. Though it didn't hurt, it was enough to shock him. Antares asked in a low voice,
This has some interest. It can probably instantly kill any being below level 83.
Instantly killing level 80 and below was not what Lin Moyu wanted. Lin Moyu's ambitions were much greater. This was far from enough. The experiments continued. Lin Moyu fused one skill after another with the aging curse, but the results were mostly unsatisfactory.
It seems it's not just two skills fusing. Multiple skills need to be fused together.
Lin Moyu realized this possibility, but fusing multiple skills together, even adding just one more skill, would require countless more experiments. But there was no way around it, he could only try one by one. Lin Moyu fell into a frenzy of endless experimentation. Lin Moyu was harsh on himself, only he knew clearly. Antares watched Lin Moyu experiment over and over, failing again and again, feeling bored.
He's really crazy.
In the end, Antares came to this conclusion about him. Then he suddenly laughed.
I'm also crazy.
Only two madmen would dare to confront the Great World Rune. The Great World Rune was the most fundamental power in the entire Great World, yet in front of it, he and Lin Moyu were just two ants. But not only did these two ants confront it, they even managed to win by a fluke. Antares felt that this was enough for him to boast about for 10,000 years. If one day he could truly step on the Great World Rune, Antares began to dream, imagining the impossible. A red light lit up. The previously sleeping Antares was startled awake. It exclaimed in shock.
How could there be the laws of time?
716, 716.